All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going deep into digestion. Well, the start of it anyway.
The very beginning, yeah.
Yeah. Mouth and stomach. We've got some detailed stuff to look at here, like figures, things. Really trying to break down how your body fuels itself. I mean, from the first bite.
Absolutely. It all starts with those first steps, both physically breaking down the food and the chemical processes that get going right away.
So first things first,
Yeah.
we put the food in our mouths,
Right.
and then,
You got to chew.
yeah, you chew. Big word for it, though.
Mastication, yeah. Mastication. But it's pretty essential. Like, think about it. You're taking this, whatever it is you're eating.
Sandwich apple?
Right, exactly. And your teeth are breaking it down. But why is that so important?
Why? I mean, it makes it smaller to swallow, right?
Well, yeah, but it's more than that. Think about surface area. When you break down that food into smaller pieces, you're exposing so much more of it. So, like, imagine a sugar cube. If you throw a whole sugar cube in water, it takes a while to dissolve, right? But if you take that same amount of sugar, grind it up, make it into a powder, it'll dissolve much faster.
Why they?
More surface area for the water to work on.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's like all those little bits of food.
Right. All those little bits get attacked by your digestive juices way more efficiently.
Makes sense. Okay, so we're chewing, and
And there's another key player here. Can't forget saliva.
oh, right, saliva. So it just makes things slippery to swallow easier?
Well, it definitely helps with that. It lubricates the food, makes it all slide down smoothly. But saliva's got this secret weapon.
A secret weapon.
Well, not really a secret, but an enzyme. It's called salivary amylase. And that's where the chemical magic starts.
Chemical magic.
Pretty much. Salivary amylase starts breaking down carbohydrates right there in your mouth, like as you're chewing.
Wow, so it's not just smashing it up, it's actually already digesting the food.
Yep. And it all starts with those carbohydrates, starches specifically.
Okay, so we got the teeth, saliva, but what about, like, the tongue? Is it just there to, help us taste?
Taste is a big part, sure, but your tongue's got a pretty important job when it comes to digestion, too. Like, think about it. It's moving that food all around, making sure it gets chewed properly, mixed with the saliva, and then...
It kind of pushes it back to swallow for you.
Exactly. And that's not just, like, randomly pushing it back. It forms the food into this nice little package.
I can.
Yeah, we call it a bolus. It's this compact little mass that's all ready to be swallowed.
Ah, okay, the bolus. So then
Yeah.
swallowing. I mean, we all know how to swallow, but
Right, but there's actually a lot going on behind the scenes. It's this whole coordinated reflex, like a chain reaction. Your tongue pushes the bolus back that triggers this whole response in your pharynx, the back of your throat, and then whoosh, down the esophagus it goes.
down to the stomach.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of swallowing, our source material had this cool diagram, figure 2, I think, shows the pharynx and esophagus.
Oh yeah, that's a great visual. Really shows how it all works together.
Yeah.
And don't want to forget the epiglottis.
The epiglottis.
It's this little flap of cartilage, basically. Covers up your windpipe when you swallow.
Oh, so that's what keeps food from, like, going down the wrong pipe.
Exactly. Pretty important job. Yeah.
Super important.
Mm-hmm.
So the food's made it to the stomach. What happens there?
Well, it's not just sitting around. Your stomach's like this muscular bag that churns everything up. Like, seriously, it's constantly contracting, mixing the food with gastric juices.
Gastric juices. That's
That's the stomach's special blend of, well, a lot of stuff. But the key players are hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and mucus.
okay. A lot to unpack there. So what's the churning actually doing?
It's breaking the food down even further mechanically. All that mixing and squeezing really helps to turn it into this, like, soupy mixture.
Soupy mixture.
Oh, yeah, we call it thyme. It's a thick, kind of gloopy liquid that's ready to move on to the next stage of digestion in the small intestine.
Okay, so that's the physical side in the stomach. But what about the chemical breakdown? The salivary amylase, does it keep working in the stomach?
Actually, no. The stomach is super acidic, and that acidity basically shuts down the salivary amylase. It's like turning off a light switch.
Oh, so no more carb digestion in the stomach.
Not from salivary amylase, no. But the stomach has its own tricks up its sleeve.
Like those gastric juices you mentioned.
Right, and the star of the show there is hydrochloric acid, or HCl for short.
HCl, that sounds pretty intense.
It is. It makes the stomach incredibly acidic, with a pH somewhere between 1.5 and 3.5. That's way more acidic than, like, lemon juice.
Wow, and what does that do? Like, what's the point of all that acid?
Well, two main things. First, it denatures proteins. Think of it like unraveling a tangled ball of yarn. It makes those proteins all loose and stretched out so enzymes can get to them easier.
Okay, makes sense. And the second thing,
It activates pepsin. Pepsin's this enzyme that's really good at breaking down proteins. But here's the thing. The stomach doesn't just produce pepsin directly. Because if it did, it would start digesting itself. So it releases something called pepsinogen, which is inactive,
hmm,
and it's the HCl, the hydrochloric acid, that flips the switch and turns pepsinogen into active pepsin.
so it's like a safety mechanism.
Exactly. It keeps the stomach from, self-destructing.
Pretty clever. So pepsin is breaking down proteins and HCl is helping it out. What about that mucus you mentioned?
Oh, the mucus is essential. The stomach lining is coated in this thick layer of mucus, and it acts like a shield. It protects the stomach from that super strong acid and from pepsin. Without it, well, things would get pretty messy.
Yeah, I can imagine. So we've got all this breakdown happening in the stomach. Any absorption going on there too?
A little bit. Some things can get absorbed right through the stomach lining, like water, some ions, and certain drugs like aspirin. But most of the nutrient absorption, that happens later on in the small intestine.
Got it. Okay, so food comes in, gets churned up into chyme, but what tells the stomach when to let go of that time and send it on its way?
It's actually pretty smart about it. The stomach kind of senses what's in the chyme. So, like, if it's high in fat or protein, it'll hold on to it longer.
Why?
Gives more time for those nutrients to be broken down. It's all about efficiency.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So all in all, the stomach's a pretty impressive organ, but things can go wrong sometimes, right? Like our sources mentioned stomach ulcers. What are those exactly?
A stomach ulcer is basically a four in the lining of the stomach, or sometimes the upper part of the small intestine. And usually they happen when that balance between the stomach acid and the mucus gets messed up.
Like the mucus can't keep up with the acid.
Right, and then the acid starts damaging the lining, causing a sore.
Ouch. And our source said that a bacteria, Helicobacter pylori, or H. pylori, is often the culprit. We even have a picture of it, figure 3.
Yeah, H. pylori is a pretty common cause of ulcers. It can live in that acidic environment and it actually damages the mucus layer, making the stomach more vulnerable.
So how do you know if you have an ulcer? What does it feel like?
Well, a lot of people experience pain in their abdomen, like a burning or gnawing sensation. Nausea and loss of appetite are also common.
And if you have an ulcer, what can you do about it?
It depends, but usually it involves antibiotics, especially if it's caused by H. pylori, and medications to reduce the amount of acid the stomach is producing.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. What are the main takeaways for our listeners?
I'd say the most important thing is that digestion is this amazing two-part process that starts right away in your mouth with chewing and salivary amylase working on those carbs. Then it moves to your stomach, where the churning continues, and the focus shifts to breaking down proteins with pepsin and that super strong acid. It's this intricate dance between physical forces and enzymes, all working together to get the most out of your food.
And it's amazing how all that happens, every time we eat. But it makes you think, right? If something as tough as our stomach needs that delicate balance of acid and mucus, what other systems in our body might be more delicate than we realize? Something to ponder, for sure. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.